Joining us now to talk more about this is Joseph Moura. He's an investigator who's looked into the case for 48 Hours Mystery. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Maggie. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You've been to Portugal, spent a significant amount of time investigating this case. You know the ins and outs of it. At one point, the McCanns had £2 million, more than $3 million in this fund that they now say is drying up. Where did all that money go?
Well, what happened is once the initial investigation was handled by the police department, they were fortunate enough to have some celebrities and high-profile people invest some money into a fund for the investigation. And that's exactly where the money went. They hired 3 teams of investigators. They chased every lead in the world. And unfortunately, the money is running out. But again, it's a situation where a lot of those leads just did not lead into anything that was concrete. And now they're desperate because they realize that the law enforcement is not going to be able to proceed, and they don't have the budget to continue an investigation without any possible leads.
Their plea was to the police in Portugal to keep this alive because they feel that as soon as they do run out of money, it's pretty much over. What do you think the likelihood is that the police will listen to this plea? Well,
as everybody knows, the McCanns were the #1 suspects in this case. They've been taken off the suspect list in Portugal, but unfortunately is that there isn't unlimited sources available to continue an investigation without any leads. And the police in Portugal still think that the McCanns were involved in this case and that the investigation has sort of been pursued against them. So they're going to have a difficult time in reference to coming up with additional resources, at least in Portugal, where law enforcement is going to look at this case seriously in any other direction. They're not going to follow the leads all over the world as the McCanns have done with their own private investigators.
Why specifically did they focus so much on the parents?
Well, I think originally the situation was you know, the parents were not as truthful as they should have been in the beginning stages of the case. And at that point in time, the police got very suspicious and started pursuing that avenue of investigation. And they just, you know, focused on that. And unfortunately, at the time, they really didn't go in any other direction. They had a couple other suspects that they looked at, but they really strongly focused on the McCanns. Right. And it's unfortunate, but still in Portugal, people still believe that the McCanns were involved. And it's very difficult at that point to get the public, at least, behind them in coming up with additional sources to be able to fund the investigation.
Regardless, they're out there pleading and saying that they believe strongly that their daughter is still alive. You have said that you believe she's not. Why?
I don't believe she is alive, and I said it from the very beginning. This case is the highest publicity case of any kidnapping or missing child that I've ever seen. And anyone who had this child was going to get rid of the child because they just couldn't afford. You couldn't travel throughout Europe, and this child would not have been seen. So I felt from the very beginning that, you know, possibly too much publicity on this case was a problem.
All right. Joseph Moura. Thank you so much, Joseph.
Thank you.